Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another polymer clay video at my YouTube channel and my blog, keepsakecrafts.net. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this great graphic necklace, and we're going to be using some very basic polymer clay caning. So the first thing that you will need when making this necklace is that you will need 2 packages of polymer clay and condition each of them completely and roll them out on the thickest setting of your pasta machine, about 2.5 millimeters. You want good contrast between the 2 colors, so I have here some Sculpey Soufflé in Royalty, and this is Primo Sculpey Pearl. White in any color, just as long as there's good contrast between the 2. Then you just need to take a clay blade and cut one of your pieces into the largest possible rectangle. And the size really isn't crucial here. Just cut yourself a nice big rectangle, and it's okay to have a bit of scrap. We'll be using some of this. Then lay your rectangle on your other sheet of clay and cut out an equal size rectangle. And now you're going to cut this piece into thirds. Precision isn't crucial here. You just want to get 3 approximately equal portions. Set aside 2 of those for the moment. We're going to use each one of these to make a different cane. So take one of your thirds and run it through your pasta machine again on the thickest setting. And if you need to, just go ahead and trim those ragged edges. And then you're just going to roll this up like a jelly roll. Just keep it nice and tight at the beginning. Kind of fold over that bit. You don't want to trap any air in there, so I try to work from the center out, so that any air bubbles will get pressed out as I roll. And then just go ahead and roll that to kind of smooth that seam. Next, take your acrylic roller, and we're going to take our spiral here, and we're going to shape it into a square shape. So instead of being round, now we're going to make it square. And you just do that with a roller and your work surface. And you just keep flipping it. So you'll get 2 sides, and then you'll flip it, get 2 more sides. Then you're going to trim off about 1/4 of this. And then just set that aside for a moment. Trim off the messy end on the other end, and then cut this piece in half. And put those 2 halves next to each other. And now go ahead and use your roller again, and flatten and roll this until it's the same width as this one. 2 of these across here are the same width as this one. So you just have to, the same way, keep rolling on one side. And you can also kind of pull it and give it a twist and stretch it. We want to keep the proportion so that where this is 2 of our spirals, it's about twice as wide as it is thick. And don't worry that the ends are getting distorted. That's just what polymer clay does. And this is a good time to use a ruler. So I've got a little bit of waste on the ends that I'm not going to count. So I've got about 5 inches. I'm just going to roll it out a little bit more, see if I can get closer to 6 inches without there we go. And now I'm just going to cut it into 6 1-inch pieces. And now one of these goes on each side of your first cane, and then 2 go on the other sides. So you have your larger spiral surrounded by smaller ones. So now I'm going to cut off the excess, and then use my roller to again roll this out until it's about 1/2 inch square. And I'll just cut off an end so you can see a very cool graphic cane here. And that's cane number 1. For cane number 2, grab another third of your original stack of clay and cut this in half. And I'm going to be good here and measure 3.5, so 1 3/4. And then stack the 2 on top of each other. So you should have 4 layers. Now measure the thickness of your stack. Mine is about 1/2 inch, and I'm going to cut it into slices that are that thick. And then you're going to reassemble them this way, just alternating the directions. Next, I'm going to cut this in half in this direction, and then put the pieces back together like this. So what we end up with is a basket weave pattern. And now this you're going to reduce down, but using the roller helps you keep those nice crisp edges. And now, before I've gone too far and have a lot of distortion on the ends, I'm going to cut it in half this way one more time. And I'm going to put it back together one more time. And that completes our basket weave pattern. And now you can reduce this down to, again, about a 1/2 inch square long cane. It's a little tough to get started when it's this narrow, but you just use your work surface and your fingers and keep rotating it. And then when it gets wide enough, you can go back to using your roller to keep those edges nice and straight. So here it is, all reduced to about a 1/2 inch. And this is always the fun part, cutting off the end to see the pattern inside. And there is our basket weave design. So then, to make our final cane, which will be a checkerboard, you're going to take your last pair of sheets, the purple and white, and cut it into thirds. And stack those up on top of each other. And you're going to cut this into 6 slices that are the same thickness as each of your sheets. And then you're going to put them back together so that the colors alternate. And if you try to take the time to line them up on both ends, they should be lined up in the middle as well. Now for this one, since it has white around the edges, if you like, you can roll out some of your leftover darker colored clay and then wrap this cane with it. And then reduce it down to 1/2 inch, just like the other one. So here's my checkerboard cane, all done. I did wrap it with a thin sheet of clay before reducing it. Now what can you do with these canes? Well, you can use your blade to cut thick slices, like maybe a little bit over 1/8 inch, and then you can pierce them with a needle and make them into beads. You can pierce them on the diagonal, like these, or pierce them straight through. If you wanted to make something like a pendant, you could pierce it right across the tip, like that. And then you can bake them, and you have beads to add to a piece of jewelry. So let me show you how to pierce the needles. Now before you do any kind of shaping with these, it's a good idea to let them sit for a while. Even just an hour will help keep them from squishing. And then to prevent fingerprints and to keep me from squishing it, I've got just 2 little scraps of index card. And I'm going to hold it in between those. And then this is a doll needle. I like these because they're thin and they're strong. And I'm going to pierce this one on the diagonal. So I'm starting right in the center, right on the point. And now I'm going to twirl it, and I'm going to look. I'm going to focus my attention exactly where I want that needle to come out. And you just keep twirling and gently pushing, and it will come out where you are looking. And then if you want to, you can send the needle back in from the other direction to clean up the hole. Other things that you can do with these, so you could just make slices into beads. You can also cut thin slices and use them to wrap around beads. Now notice how that's squishing when I cut it? So what you can do is after every cut, just give it a 1/4 turn. And that will help keep it from squishing too much. And then I'm just going to take a scrap of my clay leftovers and roll a small ball, and then wrap it in these sheets of cane and roll it into a ball between your palms. And you can make different shapes. You could roll it into a teardrop just by using one finger to roll one end. You could cover a snake of clay with a couple slices. This one I just made into a barrel bead, and I put a little cap of the purple on the end. So once you have your beads all made and your holes pierced, you can bake them and then string them together into whatever kind of piece of jewelry you like. So for links to tools and materials used in this project, click here to go to the accompanying blog post. Here's another look at the project we made today. I hope that you like this and you'll give polymer clay caning a try and use these techniques as jumping off points for your own creations. If you've not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do for 3 new videos every week. I upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and share. Make sure to follow me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and on my blog. Thanks for watching. Happy creating. Bye-bye.